Quick check on the markets here this morning, 1 minute into trading after the escalating trade war with China sent stocks significantly lower in yesterday's session. A bit of a bounce back this morning. The Dow is up 163 points after closing down 760 points yesterday for its worst single day point drop of the year, as the U.S. Treasury Secretary labels China a currency manipulator. And the president calling out Beijing for trying to steal our businesses and factories and hurt our jobs. Maria Bartiromo is the anchor of Mornings with Maria on FBN and Sunday Morning Futures. Fresh off your show this morning, Maria, where I know you were watching the futures all morning long. Here we are, a minute into trading, at least a little bit of a rebound after a big sell-off yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people looked at the sell-off yesterday and said, okay, you know, it is getting to be overdone. I mean, we do have an economy that's growing and doing well. For all intents and purposes, the U.S. calling China a currency manipulator doesn't really have any practical purpose. I mean, it's not like they're going to, you know, hit a switch and all of a sudden something changes. It's just basically telling Beijing, we know what you're doing, and we are going to act, and this is not ending anytime soon, unless you start protecting the currency and not allow it to fall the way you did. I mean, Beijing said they're going to start selling yuan today and next week in Hong Kong. So if you actually
support their currency.
No, to sell it, to weaken it. They're going to sell the yuan to weaken it. They basically said that. Even though they're saying this is not manipulating our currency, we are holding this currency and we are going to sell some of it.
So I guess I'm sorry, and I was confusing the two things, but then they do have measures to step in then and support the yuan, which they have said that they intend to do. So a lot of it is how much to believe that they tell us they're going to do.
That's
right, Maria?
bingo, spot on. Because the truth is you could say something, but that leads money managers who are in the market to know what you're doing, and they're going to do it. So then, of course, the spigots were open. And it's like the U.S. for years saying, look, we want a strong dollar and not do anything to actually support a strong dollar and just watch it fall. So Beijing is a currency manipulator. It's true. We all knew that. Finally, the U.S. decides, let's make it official. Tell Beijing they're going to have to do something to stop this, because, you know, with a cheaper currency, it's making Chinese products that much cheaper, and it's going to basically eliminate the tariff impact for China.
Boost their exports, in other words. So the Dow's responding with this 204-point gain today. The president's been tweeting, China has always used currency manipulation to steal our businesses. This is a president that has shown that he wants to be tough on China. He's followed through with that promise to be tough on China. As far as this currency manipulation claim by the Treasury Department, John Bolton this morning was explaining this does allow certain things to happen, like we can now go to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and report it as such. So there are things that can be done.
Yeah, it's sort of like a warning. Look, we're going to do everything you know we can do.
Right.
So for all practical purposes, nothing really changes other than Beijing knows, okay, they may very well take this further.
So there's a lot to take in here, because there's the Wall Street Journal this morning. Here's the editorial board. Trade war becomes currency war. So a lot of that uncertainty is what we saw in that sell-off yesterday. But then this morning, another opinion piece, and this was written by former Fed presidents. We know that Jay Powell, the current Fed president, the president has really been targeting Jay Powell as not doing the right things as the head of the Federal Reserve. America needs an independent Fed. The economy functions best when the central bank is free of short-term political pressures. That piece by former Fed presidents does not name Trump specifically, but you could read into it that they are taking him on and saying this should be an independent body. What did you make of that warning?
They are taking him on. That's exactly. They are absolutely referring to Donald Trump. They don't want the president to bully around Jay Powell, because the country does need an independent Fed. And I agree with that. You don't want the Federal Reserve to feel pressure to make a move in monetary policy because the leader of the free world wants him to. You want them to actually respond to economic conditions. But having said that, let's not forget what went on at the end of last year when Jay Powell was very clear about raising rates 3 times and unwinding the balance sheet. 6 months later to say, oh, we're going to be cutting rates is a clear indication I made a mistake. And I think that's what Jay Powell told the country when he started cutting interest rates. So you can't really blame the president all that for knowing that he made a huge mistake. He was raising rates and now he's cutting rates. Having said that, nobody wants the president to bully Jay Powell, because you want to have an independent Federal Reserve. I think all of this worry about the Fed, this worry about Beijing, the currency manipulation, all underlines one more thing, and that is this China fight is not ending anytime soon. The president has been very clear. He's not going to allow China to keep stealing from us unless they actually make it a law in their books in China that it is unlawful to steal intellectual property from the West. I don't know how the president saves face and gets out of this without having substantial change. And Beijing wants to save face and doesn't want it to look like they're responding to Donald Trump.
I've got to leave it there, but do you think that a deal gets put off to post-election?
Yes, I'm not expecting a deal right now because the stakes are way too high. And by the way, this sell-off, yeah, there's nervousness. It will sell more, but right now, it looks like yesterday was a bit overdone.
Got it. Maria Bartiromo every weekday morning on FBN. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sandra.